It's time for another Wild Time to let you know where we're at and what we've been up to.
And what we've been up to has been a bit of an adventure, and we're going to share that and more in this video.
As you can see in here, we're at the ocean. We wanted to stay in the desert Southwest through the summer, but that's triple digits.
Yeah, so we had to find something at a higher elevation in order to do that. We found a great camp spot in the mountains of northern Arizona. It was about 8,000 feet. Didn't think that was going to be much of an issue, but it turned out to be a little bit of an issue.
Yeah, quite a big issue, actually. When we got up to that location, of course, we were setting up and everything and getting settled in. And, you know, I had the normal type elevation things, you know, just a little bit more winded than I would be at sea level. And maybe a twinge of a headache, nothing big, just the normal things that come with being up at elevation when you hadn't been up that high in a while. And we've been basically at sea level, or maybe even up to about 1,000 feet,
yeah,
you know, max in years. And so we didn't think anything of it, but as we got down for the night and started to go to sleep, I started to notice some problems, some significant problems. What would happen is, as soon as I would nod off, I mean, the second my head would just nod off, my breathing would stop completely. Not trouble breathing, not shallow breathing, none of that. It just, the breathing would stop completely, and it would shock me awake as if I was asleep. It's just right at that threshold of falling asleep. And so we started looking it up to find out what could be wrong. And of course, my breathing was quite shallow. We kind of thought maybe it had something to do with elevation, but very weird because I've been up much higher than that many times. But as we started looking into it deeper, it seemed like that was it. We read about how that you could do that at elevation, that some people could actually continually stop breathing, that you can't breathe at all. The second you fall asleep, your body just shuts your breathing off.
And so we tried an experiment. We tried going down, drove about 40-50 miles down a couple thousand feet, and although not great, it was better, and we were able to catch a few hours sleep, but it was definitely not a good situation.
No, and we kept trying. I mean, we weren't too concerned during the day and as long as I stayed awake, but it's just as we kept trying to do that, and we'd have to keep going down to elevation, which is very impractical. We just couldn't sleep and couldn't breathe, and it's very disconcerting. Ended up in the emergency room.
Yeah, one whole day at the emergency room. That was fun, trying to rule out any possibility other than the altitude that it could be, and everything else checked out fine.
Yeah, turned out to be the altitude, and one of the key symptoms, it's really embarrassing to say, but it was so odd. I'd never had anything like this happen before in my life, but I had uncontrollable and continuous flatulence. It wasn't like stinky or any of that kind of stuff, like I just had a burrito buffet or something, but it was definitely just constant air motorboating out of me. And we looked that up, and there's actually a name for it. It's altitoots or toot-toots, or, you know, it's actually one of the symptoms of this condition that can happen. So,
yeah, unfortunately, it was a symptom that also dissipated as we went down in elevation. So,
yeah, and to make things more dangerous, I guess, is that my blood pressure runs a little bit high, and up there, it was running about 170 something over 110, which is ridiculously high for me. So that was disconcerting. And when we got down in elevation, it would go down like 30 points. And so that was very helpful. It wasn't something that really freaked us out more than just, you know, once we eliminated that it wasn't anything, you know, really serious, because they thought it was like a aortic aneurysm or something, but they ruled that out. I didn't really feel like it was that, but I was sold on the elevation thing. So anyway, that's how it all turned out. And we
ended up not being a place to stay for the summer.
yes.
So since we couldn't stay in the mountains, we found an opportunity on the central Oregon coast. And this is an area of the coast that we've visited many times, but we've never spent a long period, more than a day or two at a time here. So we thought this would be a great place to do some more exploring.
Yeah, and first up, the thing that we always like doing, especially when we've been in the desert for many months, is to go check out the tide pools at low tide. We always find the sea life, and it's just amazing to peer into that world when the tide rolls back and it just exposes all that beautiful sea life. We have so much fun with that.
Yeah, and we found some great tide pooling areas in this part of the coast as well, so that's been really great. We've had a couple really neat wildlife encounters also, which has been awesome.
Yeah, while we're exploring, we usually get off the beaten path of the beach, if you will. It's we like to just keep going as far as the tide and the access will allow us. And since this Oregon coast is all public, it does make it a lot easier than other coastal areas to explore. So while out exploring, we were seeing vultures down on the beach, which I thought, well, they normally come along when there's carrion around and that type of thing. And so this one vulture, I was doing a little bit of filming, and it was being chased by some type of blackbird. I don't know if it was a raven or whatever. It was from a distance. But anyway, I thought, well, wonder what's over there, because sometimes it's the sea lions have washed ashore that have passed away from something like that. But in this case, just as I was watching, a mama seal, harbor seal, and its newborn pup just started scooting off into the water. So we kept our distance, but we had been seeing a lot of sign we wondered what are these little areas of blood and things like that on the beach with no carcass around.
Yeah.
And it turns out that it's that time between April and
June, yeah,
is when they have their pups. And it was just beautiful to see that little pup following its mom into the water.
So cute. Another thing that we like to check out on the coast are the lighthouses, and there are a couple here on the central Oregon coast that we had not been to. One of them was the Yaquina Bay Lighthouse. This lighthouse was only active for about 3 years, and it's the only one on the Oregon coast that has the living quarters actually attached to the lighthouse building itself. So that's really interesting. It's fun to kind of take a look back in time, see what it was like for the lightkeeper's family and to live there in the lighthouse. So that was a really interesting one.
Yeah, since it's not active and it's now shut down, it's really nice to be able to look at the way it was back then. So it's kind of like being in a museum at the same time. It's just fascinating to read about some of the stories of the ships that have been helped through over the centuries. It's just amazing. Yeah, and then we went on down to Yaquina Head Lighthouse, which is another one, and this one is active, and that was really nice to see.
Yeah, it's really pretty, great views, lots of birds, opportunity to watch the birds nesting out on the rock. Really nice. Yeah,
and I think that leaves just one more for us on the Oregon coast, and we'll have been to all the lighthouses. And I don't even think it's anything that we set out to do initially, but it just happened that way, and they are fascinating. It's really interesting to go in them, so we enjoy that quite a bit. Another fascinating thing that we did was visit the Hatfield Marine Science Center in Newport, Oregon. And that was just a delight. It's kind of small, but it packed a good punch with all the things to see in there. Yeah, it was only $5 to get in, and it was just a really interesting museum. Lots of different things, a lot of like skeletons of different sea animals that you can see. They're just huge. It really gives you a sense of how big these animals are. Lots of different sea life and
course, you like the nautical stuff.
Yeah, you got to touch things in the little pools that they had there. Some of the urchins, and you know, at first you're wondering, are they pokey? Because they look pokey when you come from the desert.
Yeah.
Things are pokey, but
everything wants to.
Yeah. So after looking at the little marine life and everything in the pools, they had like simulation things for tsunamis, and you could actually build little things and then have a wave hit it if you wanted to. But we played around a little bit with that. But I do, like Susan said, I really like the nautical, the ship stuff. And
yeah, you even got to steer the ship, the little simulator that you can steer the ship out of the bay. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was fun. And so we hung around in there quite a bit and got to look at a lot of different things about the sea life and learn some facts, and that's always neat. We always pick up a few things that we didn't know about the sea life, and that interests us a lot, because when we're out looking and we see them in the wild, we like to know the little things about them that tell us you know, a little bit about what they do and why they do it.
There's so much more to see and do in this area, and we can't wait to share it with you.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Another thing is this area opens up an opportunity for us to check out an RV that we've been thinking about. So we could possibly have a change in the future. We're just considering it, and hopefully it'll all work out. As always, we love to read your comments. If there's anything at all in this area that you think that you would like to see or learn about, let us know. We'll try to work it in.
And please remember to share, subscribe, and click on that little notification bell. Thanks for watching.